Hey everybody, welcome back to another production meeting. We have a strange face here. I mean, he's strange looking, as we all are, but he's a different face. It's Kip. For the first time, it's a guest. What? Say hey, Kip.
What?
Hello.
All right. He's one of our what would you call him? One of our moles, one of our reporters for the page. He posts the most other than me and Clint. So he was itching to join, and finally, after a bunch of technical workarounds, we were able to have him on.
He killed Matt, and
that's Matt. That's Matt right there. What are you talking about? Even though it says Kip's iPhone, it's Matt.
He murdered him.
So,
sorry, man, it wasn't my idea.
How we're gonna recap what we've done recently is gonna be tricky. Let's hone it down to like the last week or so. Anybody have anything like interesting that they've done other than the homework, which is very loose this week? Anything?
Well, over the last week,
yeah,
I fit in a lot of stuff because I'm on work vacay. I was sent to Minnesota, and all I have to do is like sit in my hotel room. So
hard work.
It is hard work. So what I did, I watched The Northman just like literally just today. Yes. It was good. I liked it. I like Robert Eggers. He's a good director, very visual. I think the only problem with me, it was just a little too long. There's a few pacing issues. Like they kind of started and stopped and stuff like that. But other than that, I'd give it like an 8. I watched The Lost City, which I would give like a 7. Strictly on its cast because I think I've seen that movie before in 1984 that starred Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. But the cast was good. Like I liked the chemistry between Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. I like Daniel Radcliffe as like a villain. But like his villain, the only problem with his villain is like there's really no kind of like motivation other than like his sibling rivalry. But other than that, there was no real motivation around like why he's doing this. So I give it a 7. There's funny parts and stuff. I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie is not for everybody. It is very existential. It is very kind of like weird just to be weird at moments. But I think it was a very well put together movie. I think it did a little bit better job of like multiversing than Doctor Strange did. And I think it leaves it ambiguous and doesn't explain like everything all up front, just so that you can get like your own take on what their multiverse is. I watched Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Me too. Everything.
You meant to watch the trailer for Netflix's, and you ended up watching like a full movie.
Right, I did. It was like an hour and a half later, and I was like, "Oh, that was a long trailer." Everything All at Once. I would give an 8. I wanted to give it a 9, but there was I don't know. Anyway, Resident Evil was like a 4, strictly because they tried to do 2 games at once. Spoilers for Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. It is, if you want to watch Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, play the first 2 Resident Evil games. Literally beat for beat, and they kind of mashed them together, which made like it was very sped up and like very like you're trying to tell 2 stories, 2 very complex stories into one movie and 1 hour and a half movie, and it doesn't really do well with either. So it takes too much time in like game 1, and then it takes like a little too much time in game 2, and it's just like it doesn't mesh well together, and that's why they separated the games. So like this doesn't work. So if they relied, like if they wanted to follow the game structure and the game plot, I think that they should have stuck with one or the other. and like started with one and make it like a very survival horror movie, like Game One. And I think it would have been a lot more successful, and just kind of like waited for sequels to come and to do the other games that way. I also watched Severance on Apple Plus TV. A very good TV show. I would highly recommend it. I know Alex does not like Apple TV for some reason. Alex?
It's one of my best reviews, like literally my best review from 2 years ago, is on there. So I'm not saying that everything is bad. It's just like I tried watching the morning show, or whatever it was, with Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston. Nope. And then there is Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso's great. What else? I tried watching. I thought you were about to say that. I was like, what a weird show to kind of get back into. I thought you were going to say Servant, not Severance. M. Night Shyamalan produced thing, and I'm like, that kind of went. I know somebody said it went somewhere quick within like after the first 3 episodes, and I was like, I gave up on that. So and I just found myself just not using it. One, because I'm not the movie I am, but I don't watch a bunch of TV series. So there was not much to offer me on that. So that's why I got rid of it. But you're saying Severance is good.
Yeah, Severance is good. It's a thriller, and it's about a like this company that puts like this implant in people's brains, and that like it severs your work life from your home life, so you can't remember anything from your work when you like leave the building, and like you can't remember anything from your home life when you're in the building. It's thriller. It's with Adam Scott and like Patricia Arquette, and like half of this episodes are directed by Ben Stiller. It's, you have to watch it. It's just one of those weird, but the cinematography is great, like the music is great, and just like the pacing of the show, like I marathon through it, obviously, because I have all the stuff to do. I did like 7 episodes in like one day, and they were really good. And last thing I watched was Slow Horses, which is also on Apple Plus TV, and it's with Gary Oldman, and it's like this British spy show. But just think like James Bond, and then like the lower class of James Bond, and they're just, it's about a group of like agents, and I use that word like very loosely, that were like disgraced from MI5, but they can't be fired from MI5, so they put them in this like what's called the Slaw House, and they kind of stumble onto this like this plot to kidnap some Muslim kid in England, and it's actually really good. I think there's like 6 or 7 episodes, and it's with Gary Oldman. It is great. I highly suggest that.
That actually does sound like a pretty interesting concept. I did think of another show I did watch on there was what is it, Defending Jacob, and that was okay. You kind of reminded myself. Kip, what did you do? What have you done this week?
Let's see. Besides working to death, I saw the new Down movie last night, the new Down Abbey movie. I thought it was better than I kind of went in with like medium to low expectations. My wife got me into the TV series. At first I didn't really watch it, and then I started to watch it, and the storylines are great. And then we saw the movie, I think it was 3 years ago was the first one. So this one I was kind of expecting like a dip. However, they basically, instead of like one main storyline like what they did from the first movie, they went ahead and did like 2.5 kind of different stories. They kind of split the group up. Like they had like the story like with Mary stay at the Downton house because they're filming like a movie there. and this is like in the 1930s, so it's a revolutionary thing. And it's kind of cool. It was actually I really like that, the kind of how movies kind of began, and the technical, like, this is really what they struggle with, from like the silent films until like the first sound, and that was interesting. And then they had the other half go to the villa in France, and then the half of storyline kind of carries over from the first one, which is Maggie Smith's character. And they don't really, which I kind of like, they put it in the background, but her moments were outstanding. So I give it like for me, I'm a little bit more gracious than you or Ryan, so I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. It opened lower than the first one. I think the first one opened like 31 million, and then I was reading this week, this one opened like 16 or 17 million. But a lot of that is due to like COVID, and it's an older generation type of feel. But for me, there's a lot more jokes. It flowed. It didn't feel like it dragged. It didn't feel like it overdid one thing. There wasn't as much, I wouldn't say conflict or drama. However, I just, the music was great. So, since Ryan's been like talk about music and movies, I've kind of paid attention to it more. Ryan, I do agree. Moon Knight, great music at the end. I listened to the credits after the episode 1. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then the other thing I've been getting into on HBO Max is We Own This City. It is a very gut-wrenching, hard show to get through. Because I didn't realize at first it was based off the 20s. I had read the original news article back in 2017, but it is based off of that. And they basically do flash forward and rewind, and you kind of got to pay attention to it, and then it starts to make sense on the timeline. But if you're into The Wire or into those type of shows, it's right up your alley. The music in it is great. I mean, there's also, a lot of language, not as much violence that I thought it would be, but it focuses on the actual like investigation and kind of like how this is allowed to happen. So it blew my mind. I think it's only 6 episodes. I think the last one or the next to last one shows tonight, and then the next one is I'm not sure if there's 1 or 2 episodes left, but John Benfeld gives like probably one of my favorite. I know he's big in The Punisher and all that, but he did a lot of work and a lot of research. And then Josh Charles, who I really like, I liked him from The Good Wife. He just plays this character so well, this police officer who's just like, you read some of these stories and it's just horrifying, but he's actually from Baltimore. He grew up in the city, but they both did a lot of research, a lot of ride-alongs, and it still resonates till today, 5 years later. But that's kind of my main thing. And then also, one last thing, I've been trying to watch as much Star Wars or catch up as much Star Wars in preparation for Obi-Wan. And then on Monday, I'm going to be going to see Top Gun Maverick. So I'm kind of excited. The reviews coming out are really good. So I don't know if it's just because of Tom Cruise, but I'm going to kind of go with low expectations as well. I showed Ruth Top Gun for the first time ever because she'd never seen it and she didn't really get it, but it must be a guy thing.
Ryan, what did you do?
Well, I'm going to add listening to the Downton Abbey score on my list because I actually own a nice 2-disc version of the series soundtrack. So I'll definitely check that out. I didn't do a whole lot other than the homework. Men and Firestarter and whatever else is on our homework that we'll talk about later.
Chip and Dale.
What else? Chip and Dale. Oh yeah, I've completely forgotten about it, but it's fun. Sorry, Matt. I watched Finch. I rated a whole little thing to talk about Finch because we've talked about Apple TV Plus a lot. Then I remember that film's not even a 2022 release. I think it was 2021. Not even interesting enough to talk about. So instead, I'm going to talk about this 2019 movie that I watched.
Oh man, I really can't wait to hear that movie because you cut out.
It's a Japanese film called One Cut of the Dead. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. Let me know. Am I back? Nope.
You were in it now. Hold on. He's not recording.
Oh yeah. I guess like waiting for it to record. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. We're off the rails.
And
I'm out.
all right. But so what was that last thing you were talking about, Ryan? That before we had you cut off for a second.
It's okay. Totally my fault. So there's this 2019 film called One Cut of the Dead from Japan. You can watch it, I believe, for free on Shudder because it's a Shudder original. But I bought it on DVD because I like owning things. So this is like a 90 minutes comedy about a film crew trying to make a zombie movie, and then zombies happen. So it's this just little self-aware comedy. I don't know how to sell this anymore because I don't want to oversell it. But I also recommend don't watch the trailer because I haven't seen the trailer. I don't want to risk giving anything away about the movie. Just watch the movie. It's probably the greatest film about filmmaking I've ever seen. And I'm including like Singing in the Rain and the artists in there. It's definitely my favorite film about filmmaking ever. Easy 9 out of 10 for me. So without that, just watch that. It's 90 minutes. It's a quick, easy watch.
So go in very blind.
Blind. I know, like, also the first like 36 minutes is like a genuine long take. So it's pretty impressive. And then it's just this wonderful, funny, heartfelt movie about filmmaking that ends up being a Shaun of the Dead-ish kind of movie.
You know, and it's funny you say that because that's a strong take. Because when Kip was talking, about Downton Abbey and the whole filmmaking thing, that's also what I thought about. I thought of Singing in the Rain, and because I saw that for the first time last year, and I was like, "This is fabulous. This is like, I'm not a musical guy, but this is what I would like. This is top notch for me." And I liked the whole. So the fact that you say that is very bold.
It's like Singing in the Rain in the sense that it's not a big budget musical, it's not glamorous, and it's pretty much independent filmmakers. But it definitely gets it better than like Disaster Artist, which is still a great movie. But so yeah, instead of talking about anything new I watched, there's this 3-year-old movie. Definitely watch
it. We will resurrect it. Okay. Well, I struggled to remember everything that I did. I also watched Chip and Dale. Not to get into my review too early. That I really enjoyed that. Matt and I really don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, or too often. But he and I was like, okay, I can kind of see how he liked this because, not to spoil it too much at the beginning, it starts off in the 80s, and I'm like, I don't know if Matt will, admit to this, but anything that deals with the 80s, for the most part, I think he's a sucker for. Not in a bad way. Like, I say that in a way.
No, in a bad way, Matt. We hope you're listening to this.
Yeah, you're a sucker. And then that's when Ryan's internet comes off again. Or no, that's when mine cuts off. But no, so I watched that. Similar to Kip and his wife, I watched Top Gun with my wife literally last night, and but I think she's watched it one time before, but didn't really remember any of it. Me, I'd seen some scenes of it, never the full thing all at once. This is a solid flick. I mean, considering that it's almost 40 years old, I think that movie's shot incredibly well, and the intricacy of filming while in jets and having all that stuff to consider of the movement, the speed, and all of that, and have it like be interesting. That's pretty well done back then. So I'm just sad I didn't actually watch this full length all the way through before the last night. So I did that in preparation for Maverick, obviously. I too, like Ryan, watched Men.
We just love watching Men. Wait.
And then we watched the movie. We watched Men, and then we watched the movie. Um,
There's probably a Chip and Dale joke to be made in there too.
yeah,
there
probably.
you go.
I think that's all. Well, I also too started Firestarter, and I know it would have been better if it was just Fire Watcher, just a guy sitting watching a campfire. That'd have been more interesting. This movie, man. Now I know why it's on Peacock. Not to let that out. And then other than that, I have been playing almost exclusively Lego Star Wars. I have finished all of the episodes, just the main story. They take really like a half hour, maybe 45 minutes for each movie's worth of content to get through until you unlock, free play, where you can play as all different characters. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. So if nobody has anything else to add to what they did, we shall go into the news. All right, cool. So to start us off, and it's actually funny enough that Kip is here because the first bit of news is what Kip shared a couple weeks ago. The John Krasinski Jack Ryan will be ending with season 4 on Amazon, and a potential spinoff is in the works. I've never seen a lick of Jack Ryan. I know what? Kip probably is. Yeah, I knew you were going to say something like that.
What?
I know you're a huge fan of it, so I know you'll have obviously biggest takes on this. Before we get to yours, does anybody else have strong opinions on this?
I didn't think this was going to last that long.
Okay.
And that's not to say that I don't like Jack Ryan. Like, I like the show. I like the show a lot better than like the movies, because the movies have kind of like derailed from everything that like Tom Clancy has set up and everything. And I liked Michael B. Jordan in Without Remorse, but that was even still kind of like a.
I remember I was the best review for that. That movie was all right.
Yeah. I like John Krasinski as Jack Ryan. I think the show is done really well, and I think that that's kind of like the type of show that needs to, or type of thing that needs to be put into like a TV show. But with Krasinski being that busy, I'm surprised this lasted this long. Because I don't think that even season 3 has come out yet. I think there's only the 2 seasons. So I guess they're getting 2 more seasons out of this, which is pretty impressive, to be honest with you.
Ryan, any thoughts, concerns on this?
I've watched season 1 twice, and I couldn't get into season 2, so I'm sure I'll watch season 2 and 3 before season 4, and then I'll have some thoughts like 5 years from now.
Okay. Now, Kev, what are your, because you're the expert on this show. What do you think? Do you think it should go further? Do you think, like Clint, that this has been on too long? Is it close to the books?
It to me, I think it's the best representation. Like I was kind of nodding with Clint because he was kind of summarizing what I was gonna say. I feel like with some of these shows, where for like example, to me, like Moon Knight should have just been 1 season, 1 and done. It's a very tricky storyline to continue into season 2. However, like Loki, you can make season 2 because it just, the storylines are there. The problem with the Jack Ryan series that kind of gets lost in the sauce, it's the same thing all over again. It's just a different location or a different thing, but it's along the same lines where he's saving the world. It kind of falls in line to me like the Mission Impossibles, where eventually the storyline just runs out. I'm kind of glad they're ending it sooner rather than later, and it's not just a money grab. Like, I think Krasinski has a lot of say into it. For me, I was, kind of going back to, Doctor Strange. I was excited about his cameo. I feel like he would make a really good read. If you're going to redo the Fantastic Four for the 45th time, I feel like he would be the one to kind of bring it back to light. They were even joking, just bring his Quiet Place family into Fantastic Four and make it like that. It's just,
Interesting thought.
Overall, yeah, Amazon has this really good thing where they end shows sooner rather than later and try not to milk out everything. So I've been waiting for season 3, and I guess wait a little bit longer, but I really like them. So, but I think it's just more like John Krasinski a lot in it. So
Good deal. I think that's well said. Don't drag it too much just because it has a hint of popularity. And on a high note somewhere.
yeah,
Okay. So next bit of news. I don't know how official this is or how much of a grain of salt needs to be taken with it, but the Batman 2 has a release date for the fall of 2024. I'm just sitting here going, how long is it till we hear that it's summer of 2025?
Yeah.
So
I believe it'll happen, but with Warner Brothers, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even Warner Brothers. I'm not picking on Warner Brothers here. I'm like, this is the age we live in now. In the last couple of years, the first release date, I'm never gonna hold it true. Like, it's always gonna shift. Even if it's like the biggest Disney IP, I'm not gonna take it seriously until it's happened. It's moved at least once more. Unless it's that weekend, which I'll be shocked, and they haven't moved it by that time. So I'm excited. I thought the first one was all right. I know others think that it's a little bit better, and I get it. He's more of a private eye than crime fighter. So, but yeah, we got a release date or a release window at least. Staying in the DC part of news, we have a little bit of Gotham Knights news. This happened a couple weeks ago. The PS4 and Xbox One versions of those games are going to be canceled. So it's strictly.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. It's strictly next gen / current gen, depending on who you are. Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked by this, but at the same time, the crossover has to happen at some point. Now, I do think it's shocking because of how hard it still is to get like just a PS5 of any kind, almost 2 years after the fact of its launch. So I'm a little bit surprised by this because I would think if you're Warner Brothers, that is a lot of PS4 users that you're not being able to, not get money from. That's so like high corporation, kind of greed sounding. But I mean, it's true. If you're a business, PS4 owners are a plethora of gaming communities. You probably should still be making it for them. I honestly, even though I have a PS5, so it doesn't really affect me, I'm like, I think that's a bad move. I don't understand why they're doing it this early, to be honest. So, but yeah, so I just had a hot take on that. Let's see. What did I share? This it says new Scream movies. The new Scream movie confirms first returning characters. I didn't really dive too deep into that article. They're gonna have more returning characters. Great. I'm not too into that franchise continuing. That's just me. I think it should go the way of Jack Ryan and just end, because stop dragging it through the mud.
I think that they have confirmed that most of the cast that survived 5. I don't know what he's doing.
It's dramatic.
Yeah, it's some good news.
Now we can confirm that Ryan was on a chair with wheels, because I was like, how is he doing that so smooth on 4 legs?
I'm on a bench.
It was just subtle as Ryan's going across the screen. You're trying not to.
I thought you were just upset about the Scream news, so I was like,
yeah. I thought he was Scream mask.
He wanted to excuse himself because he's like, I don't want to talk.
Dying because I had switched to my phone and I wasn't ready for it.
So
anyway,
but yeah, go ahead, Clint.
I think it's the Scream 5 cast who, I think that was the only thing that they kind of confirmed, is like I'm not sure if like Nev Campbell is going to be back. I'm not sure if if you've seen it, but any of the legacy characters are going to be back. But they did confirm that the surviving members of Five are going to be coming back. Which, not a knock at these actors, but they're really not in high demand, so I don't understand why they wouldn't come back. So.
That's so. They got nothing else going on, so they're like, "Can we please come back?"
Yeah,
Confirm
right.
it.
Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was not as big news when I shared it, but I was like, man, let me throw this out there.
Yeah.
The Amazon Prime show Upload, which has a little special place in mine and Clit's hearts, at least because that was one of our first reviews, probably our first, at least our first show review.
Yeah.
That has gotten renewed for a season 3. I think still, like my friend Clint, I have not watched season 2 because it's been so long. I probably should go back and watch season 1. I think I remember a good amount of it anyway, but it never hurts for a refresher. And it's what? It was only like 6 episodes? 7 maybe?
Like that.
So but anyway, it's getting a 3rd season. So, kudos. Cool. Anyway, so now we have I don't know if anybody remembers. I probably remember most, being the biggest Dragon Ball fan here, that Toei Animation, their site got hacked, hence a lot of titles getting pushed back. And now I guess that's been done with. So now Dragon Ball Superhero is getting a release date for, at least in the US anyway, of August. And I forget when it's coming out in Japan. I think it's actually next month. But we have an August release date, at least for, the only area I care about, because that's the only place I'm gonna see it is America. I ain't going to Japan for it. So but yeah, I'm like,
related news. Sorry to cut you off. Some related news. I heard that My Hero Academia World Heroes Mission is actually coming to Blu-ray in the US August 23rd.
Yes, that is true. I can confirm that because I actually have put in my pre-order for the Steelbook at Best Buy, not a sponsor. No, not to put a plug in here. Yes, I know that to be a fact because it said like August 23rd on the order. So I was like, yes, I think I've gotten the first 2 movies on Steelbook, and I was like, I have to continue that trend. Really, you can't go wrong with any of them. I think this is my least favorite, only because all of them are really good. It's like, I don't know. Actually, maybe the first one's my least favorite. The second one's the best, in my opinion. So I think it goes 2, 3, 1. So, moving on. Did anybody see this trailer for this new Adam Sandler movie called Hustle? Yeah, I don't sit here saying I wish I didn't see it. It's an Adam Sandler movie, so I'm going to rip on it. But it looks all right. I can predict that I'm going to sit there going, wow, this is meh. Just like everything else he produces on Netflix. So I don't know. It's all right. I mean, if you guys didn't see it, you're kind of not missing anything. He's like, it has to do with, like, I think he's a middle school teacher or coach, and he's coaching like an up and coming actual NBA star or something like that. And I don't know. It ties in with that. I'm like, it just goes with that. Adam Sandler is so stuck in the past, because for the longest time, and it still probably continues, Adam Sandler's movies always have at least one similar concept, is that they always start in, like, back 1982, summer of 1984. And he always, or 70 something, whenever he was growing up, he always does that. And then it's like some small little thing in the past that, correlates to what this movie's about, totally influences. That happened in Pixels. I remember that movie was trash. It did that. He's like, oh man, I played arcade games back in the 70s. That was so cool. Look how that's going to affect me in 2020 or whenever that movie came out, 2015. So yeah, that movie. We have a trailer for a new dumb movie. Yay. Let's see. It's funny that you talk about Resident Evil before, Clint, because we do have a confirmed Resident Evil series with an official teaser trailer. Since you were the one who shared that on Facebook, you probably watched it, correct?
Yes.
How does it look? Because I don't care about Resident Evil. I'm gonna be honest.
It looks better than the movie, obviously. The weird thing about this though is it's supposed to kind of like take place like now, and it's supposed to like have like flashbacks to the Raccoon City event or whatever. So it's like kind of simultaneously going back and forth. But I mean, it looked pretty good. I'm holding off my reservations because I'm a big fan of the games, like everybody knows, and I liked the turn that they had in the last two. I haven't played Village, but I do like 7 a lot. So I hope they kind of like get this medium under control because there's a lot of good stuff here. It's just they're screwing with it badly. So
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Resident Evil, I think overall as a movie franchise, it's not handled the best.
mm,
Yeah, and I haven't seen any single one because, like I said, it's just not I think it goes along with the whole zombie genre, and I was like, it feels just played out to me. So, but hopefully the series will be a step in the right direction or something.
yeah, hopefully.
Speaking of series, yeah, this is a weird one. I mentioned Gotham Knights before. DC decided to pick up like a Gotham Knights like series too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's weird. I kind of don't get that. Like we are like sprinting before we can crawl here.
Yeah, I don't know.
The problem is they're clearing out the Arrowverse. They canceled Legends of Tomorrow, which thank God. Like Flash, I think is ending after next season with season 9. And I think it's part of the rebrand DC that they're trying to push. I have low expectations for it. Just like I kind of have low expectations for the game. I was a big Arkham series fan. I thought Arkham City was probably one of the greatest games ever. Arkham Knight kind of fell flat on its face at the end, although it had a really good map layout. And of course, Asylum was all right. But I feel like you can't really make it without a Batman, but I understand kind of where they're going with it. I just looked at the gameplay and I just didn't really. I'm setting a low bar for the game, so.
Yeah.
But I feel like the series is more like CW trying to continue the DC universe. So
Because Batwoman
that's kind of the reason behind it.
What's up, Clint?
Because Batwoman was canceled too, right?
Yeah, that one was terrible. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we'll see how that goes. A little bit of sad news. Mr. Fred Ward, actor known for films such as Tremors, The Right Stuff, Miami Blues, passed away on May 13th at 79 years old. It's going to be a weird thing to remember him in. I remember him in Corky Romano. It's the first thing I always I know. It's the first thing I always think about if I ever see that actor. Oh, no. Oh, there's that, and he plays a dad in Road Trip. Also a very weird one to remember him in. So, but very sad. Let's see. Oh, this is big, and Ryan will have things to say about this, I'm sure. Christopher Walken has been confirmed to be, I'm not going to pronounce the Emperor's name, but in Dune, he is being cast.
Adishah Emperor Shadan II.
Yes. That is who he is. So that has been confirmed. Has Villeneuve been confirmed to be directing the second part? Okay, good. So it's in good hands. I trust, and I mean the casting is not really up to him per se, sort of. I gotta believe that this is in good hands. So like, if they cast him, he's not just gonna be all like, "Hey, yo, hey, where's all the sand, yo?"
That was pretty good.
So,
That was. That was pretty. That was pretty good.
thank you. Did not mean to, go hard on that one. But I want to know Ryan's take on this for sure, since he is definitely. I love Dune, but he loved Dune.
Yeah, the only, I mean, I trust the other as far as like at least adaptations go. I'm not going to be a book to movie stickler at all. So as far as like other adaptations go, he's not one of the most memorable roles in any adaptation I've seen of Dune. And that kind of goes towards the point that the Emperor's not really one of the most memorable parts of Dune. He's not really the big bad. He's being manipulated by these other important peoples. So I think that's actually probably a smart casting choice. I am having trouble seeing him in the role. But I'm with you, Alex. I trust Villeneuve for sure. So I'm up for it. I don't see why not.
Yeah, and I think because we've said this before, like part one is great, but it's even a setup, obviously, for part two. And so like this has to be a good, like they're setting it up to be a spike, and they can't whiff on it. So I would imagine that the take that they have on it at least is I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly, but like I think they know what they're doing for the most part. We just gotta hope on that. So I thought it was interesting, even though I have no idea. I knew nothing of the character, so it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a puppet character, so he's not a character with a lot of backbone, and we've seen Walken play pretty much. We've seen him play a lot of types, so I think he'd be great. He played a great James Bond villain, so I'm totally up for this.
So. Well, that's what I thought. I had a feeling. We'll just trust him. We'll see how it plays out. Clint shared this a little while back. MODOK canceled after just the one season on Hulu. I never saw any part of that, and I probably could have guessed that too. I'm sure it's fine. Probably can't be that fine after just one season. But any hard takes on this?
I got through half of an episode. I was like, okay, this is a little weird. I like taking like weird stuff like Patton Oswalt's kind of sense of humor, and like I like to watch that stuff, like Hit Monkey or Hit whatever monkey. It was okay. Like I got through like a couple of episodes of that, but even this like MODOK, like it was weird. It was so bizarre. So I was like, no.
Well, I think that it's 50-50. I get your Patton Oswalt's take on it is probably weirder than it probably is, but the character, like by design, is also a very strange personality. So I get the criticism. I get their take on it. So I think it just came down to how popular is this character and like how many people know him. And I knew him a little bit from the exposure of playing the very forgettable, ironically, Avengers game for the PS4. And I was like, yeah, it's all right. It's not, whatever. It's all right character. I'm like, I don't love it or hate it. It's just there. So, but not surprised either way.
Yeah.
A little bit of bigger news. I was really, I had slight mixed feelings of it, but the fact that we're getting the announcement is exciting. The next Star Wars Jedi game is called Survivor. There's hints on a possible release date. Nothing confirmed yet. I think it was more or less just the subtitle Jedi, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Kind of a simple title, but I get it completely because it deals with Order 66 and the aftermath of all that. So I get it. This is one of the best, or Fallen Order was one of the best Star Wars games that anybody could ever play. I went back to it just for a little bit, like a month ago, and I was like, gosh, so this just even looks fantastic. Like I know it plays kind of like a Dark Souls game, but just visually, it looks so good. Fights with stormtroopers are just fun, and I mean, it's just a good series so far, and it's just one game. So I'm really looking forward to a second game. Hopefully it's around the corner. I can only hope. So, let's see.
Did you hear Ewan McGregor says they might be tying in the game to
Yes.
the Obi-Wan series? He didn't say it like per se. He hinted it, but if you read between the lines or tea leaves, however you want to interpret it, I'm like, that would be fantastic.
I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen, and I would welcome it. It's like anything. Like, before you confirm it, let me read over the script and let me get my thoughts out. And so if it sounds good to me, then proceed. But I'm not part of these meetings, so it doesn't matter what I think. I'm just excited about it either way. And I would more welcome that than hinder against that thought, Kip. I hope there is a little bit of tie-in, actually. So we do have some Doctor Who news. David Tennant and Catherine Tate are officially returning to Doctor Who. So woo. There's a lot that I don't watch, and this is also another one of those. Ryan, I know you're a Doctor Who person.
I mean, the 50th anniversary special, I think, is what's coming up this Christmas 60th. Or New Year's. Yeah. So 60. Yeah. Goodness gracious. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that's definitely the fan favorite, and I think that's a great way to bring people back to actually watch it, and hopefully keep those people on for the next run, as long as somebody named Chris Chibnall isn't writing it. Because then a bunch of old fans who haven't been watching the new stuff will tune in and then never watch it again. So I'm talking about the Sea Devils or whatever the last one that was out. Goodness gracious, it's such a chore to get through. Once a week, we're like, do we want to spend an hour of Doctor Who today? And then I'm like, oh, hang on, I fell asleep at the last hour of it, so let me rewatch half of that. And then we've already spent half an hour watching Doctor Who, so we don't want to watch the next hour.
Yeah. Let's pause just for a second.
I don't need to right now.
All right, welcome back. Kip had to go to work, unfortunately, so the rest of it will be these three familiar faces. So, the next thing we shall talk about, I'm sad we couldn't get to this before he left, but Marvel Studios is confirming that the Scarlet Witch solo movie is in development. Okay. Cool.
Did they confirm that?
At least according to what Kip shared. I've never heard of this site, actually. Now that I'm re-looking at it, it does say that it is a little bit of a rumor, but it's kind of a dumb way to put this out. It says rumor, Marvel is confirming development. And I'm like,
I think what'll happen is this will happen, and then like 8 years from now we'll be talking about it because it'll have finally come out, and then it'll be set like 2 years ago MCU time from now, and we'll be like, wow, this wasn't that good, and also why didn't this happen right now or before?
Well, I mean,
so I guess
I'm a bit confused because didn't we get this in last January?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this show that's like what 3-hour runtime total, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so assuming it's let's say it is confirmed. Let's say it's a for real thing. I mean,
right.
For the most part, it's sounding pretty rumor heavy. But is this borderline? Why do we need this? Because I mean, you literally just said, Clint, yeah, we got something equivalent to that last year, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we need a solo movie at all.
So, being the house comic book nerd, I'm gonna say some of my thoughts of Doctor Strange 2 is going to kind of like bleed into this. So no, but yes. I don't think, like, the moviegoer part of me says no, we don't really need this, because you had WandaVision, you had her solo movie, and you kind of got like this House of M type of storyline out of it, and so we're like, she creates her own little reality. But with my thoughts of Doctor Strange, they kind of like, the writers of Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, like they kind of shattered everything that happened in WandaVision. So I kind of seen her becoming the villain, like with the first trailer. You don't like, because even with the cast announcement, you're just kind of like, well, there's no real villainy person in this movie, so she's got to be it. And I kind of didn't like that, strictly for the fact of, like, in WandaVision, she had this like kind of like redemption arc, and she was like, I'm sorry for mind wiping all of you, and I'm gonna go away now. And they're like, cool, okay, bye. And so, and then like at the start of this one, she's like hunting, America Chavez to get her to go through the multiverse and whatever. And it's just like, I liked Doctor Strange, but it was just kind of like this, like, we didn't really need to go on this journey. Like, somebody could...
I'm glad you said that. Not to deviate back into our review of Doctor Strange, I thought the same thing. I said to Ryan, or at least I remember thinking this, that this movie, like, it was fine, don't get me wrong, Ryan loved it, but I thought, this doesn't feel like of any consequence. It doesn't, like, none of this really feels like it's playing a big role. Like, even though it's multiverse and the fate of the universe and all that, it didn't feel like of any consequence. And I think that's what you're getting at. Yeah, and the fact that, we take this and we take Wanda, who, spoiler alert for that, she gets offed, and like, what are we doing here then? Like, we don't need to revisit that. It's done. So I hope, honestly, I'm leaning towards, I hope that's a rumor now, because it's like, there's no need for it.
I don't think that she needs her own movie. I think that they need to find a way to grab like another one from the multiverse, maybe like one that has her bolts a little tightened. But I just don't think that you need to go through this yet again, because her main storylines are usually depicted through whatever was shown in WandaVision. So you have, like I said, you have House of M, and like in that, like, her kids kind of die and Vision dies and everything, and so she creates its own little universe where all these people are like alive again. So that's WandaVision. And then her next kind of like storylines are like her getting rid of the mutants, and it's like, okay, well, we don't have mutants yet.
Yeah, we have to have them in order to get rid of them.
Yeah, so like, unless you're gonna like create mutants just for her to kill them off again, just doesn't seem like right. And I agree with Ryan. Like, I like Doctor Strange, but I agree with you, Alex, as well, where it was just kind of like I don't know if this was like a stepping stone for something else. And I think that's my big problem with Phase 4 right now, is it's just like, there's no real, like, we're gonna go this way. Like with the Infinity Saga, you were like, okay, we're gonna get the Infinity Stones and we're gonna defeat Thanos. Okay, cool. With this, it's just like, well, we're going to introduce Blade, and we're going to introduce the Eternals, and we're going to introduce like other gods and magic and all this other stuff. And you're like, cool, is this going to kind of come together cohesively in the end, hopefully?
Yeah, I agree. I think, this Phase 4 just feels messy. I mean, it kind of, you end Phase 3 on this like emotional note, and it's, it ends a big chapter of the MCU. And I agree, Phase 4 feels like, the best analogy I can come up with is those old like trap filled levels in a video game where like you have to step correctly in a certain sequence in order to pass by, and it feels like every step is like the equivalent of a movie that you ultimately took the wrong step into a spike pit. So, and then they finally just kind of get the one right. Go ahead, Ryan. I feel the thoughts flowing.
Oh yeah, totally, 100% on topic. Exactly what we're talking about. Marvel related. My phone still says it's dying, and it's not. It's lying to me. Did the Celestials create the Egyptian gods?
I don't know.
In the MCU?
Because like Thor, the Asgardians, they're not gods, but they're perceived as gods, and then the Eternals were like perceived as gods, kind of. So they inspired the mythology gods. But then the Celestials actually created the worlds. But then in Moon Knight, there's just Egyptian gods.
Nobody said it was going to make
answers
sense.
Will be revealed later.
Yeah, I know, right? They're like, yeah, we totally meant to do that. We totally didn't write ourselves into a corner. So
I have no actual thoughts on anything important. That came to my mind, and I was like, I got to get it out while we've got the Marvel guy here.
Well, I know in the comic books they don't. I know
That's
in the
fair.
books they don't.
But I think the moral of the story is Wanda Solo, probably don't need it. Hopefully it's just a rumor. So, next bit of news. I was excited to share this because I don't know if you guys knew about this before I shared about it. But Warner Brothers was making a fighting game called Multiverses. So like, Kong versus King Kong, that was a play on words. As punny as that name is, it's supposed to be like Smash Brothers, but for Warner Brothers own properties. So like Batman fighting Shaggy and Scooby-Doo and so on and so on. And we got like a cinematic trailer for it. Probably you guys didn't catch it. Maybe, did you?
I did.
Oh, good. Obviously.
I had no thoughts on it, but I caught it.
Yeah, it's kind of like there aren't really thoughts to be had on it. And what I mean by that is anybody can make a cinematic trailer and have the game look good. That's happened countless times in the gaming community where a cinematic trailer has been put out and then the final product looks like absolute and plays like absolute garbage. Yeah. So, not that that's the case here.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
top of that, I guess I do have thoughts on this. On top of that, I think what makes Smash Bros so special, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong. The thing that really, really boosted interest in Smash Bros is when they were like, hey, we're partnering with our, at the time, rival Sega to have Sonic in our Smash Bros game. And so bringing things that aren't just Nintendo-owned properties into a Nintendo game is one of the hooks in Smash Bros. So it's like, oh, it's a Warner Brothers exclusive thing. So it's like Looney Tunes or Space Jam.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. The yes part of it is like if you go back to like the very first Smash Brothers and Melee, which in my opinion is still the best. You cannot top that version of Smash Brothers because it was so fast and was so like that is the number one game I think and most often presented in Smash Brothers games. But when you went from that to that, like you still had Nintendo properties, but you were unveiling like, oh my gosh, there's Mewtwo. He's just as powerful as Pokemon at the time. You've got all these Fire Emblem characters who you never heard of that felt like non-Nintendo characters. So unless you were in Japan and knew about these things, you felt like as if you were getting other properties. So yes, I do think that the other property, you have Solid Snake, you have Sonic, you have Pac-Man, Mega Man, Sora, oh my gosh, what a way to finish off how many or the last character edition post game that you're ever going to do. I mean, because I love Kingdom Hearts, that I'm a little bit biased in that, but what a way to send it off. But I'm like, I think what really just sets apart, at least at its core, Smash Brothers from everything else is literally just the gameplay style, because it's not that traditional 2D fighter. I mean, it's 2D obviously, but it's like it's more free flowing. Anybody can kind of just pick it up and go with it. Whereas like Street Fighter and Tekken, you have combos here and there that you got to learn in order to be successful. And I think Warner Brothers was like, you know what, that's really successful and that's a unique thing. Let's take that uniqueness of it and let's kind of put our own spin on it. And we have all of these properties that we're Space Jam, not ashamed to market in such a shameful way. And let's take them and putting it in a fighting game. I am all for this because I think going back to Ryan's thought, yes, that kind of is the hook in Smash Brothers, is learning new characters and then getting to play as them until ultimately you get tired of them and then you learn a new one. So yeah, it's like anything else. It's the newness. It's playing as different characters that you've never gotten to play before. So what would be really cool is if they did some type of gigantic merger and you got like Mario fighting Batman and so on. But a man can only dream. So I'm excited for this game. There's going to be and with to go with that that trailer news, we are getting a closed beta in July, I think. So you can sign up now on their site to try and be a part of that and just test it out. But yeah, that'll be exciting. So, but enough about that. What? Oh, yeah. What do you got?
I just want to say that I'm not going to buy this game unless LeBron James is a playable character.
You got to put that juju on it, man. I don't need that. LeBron, do your thing, man. I don't want you in my game. I'm sorry. If you're gonna be in a game, be in 2K. And no, I don't need him in his Toon Squad outfit. Sure, be in it, and I'm never gonna play as him. You are literally gonna be the Jigglypuff of my Smash Brothers. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so we have a Predator prequel trailer on Hulu. I did not watch this. I shared this knowing that other people would be interested. Who here has watched it? Okay. This is open for you guys to discuss.
Oh, Ryan, did you watch it, Ryan?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't remember what other teaser that I shared that was like teaser of like all teasers, but this is literally teasers of all teasers. Like this is a minute. Was it, Ryan, like a minute and 12 seconds? It's like 72 seconds long. Mm-hmm. And you don't like, you follow this kid running through the forest, I think, and then the red dots hit him in the face, and then it cuts to black and it's like pray or whatever. It does get you excited for like the time period that they're using, like the people, like the indigenous people that they're going to use like against the Predator and stuff. So it is very interesting to see like what they're going to do with it, and it is a very new take on what they're going to do. So it is very much gets you ready for, what is it, August, I think.
Yeah. My only I agree. I don't even need really a full trailer. This was enough for me. Mm-hmm. It got me excited. I'm wondering if they're going to try to tie in the if I'm not mistaken, scrapped Predator 2 spinoff with the flintlock pistol. I can't remember. I've seen Predator 2 once, so I'm trying to remember all the information. I just don't. But because that seemed like that was the first like, oh, we're going to do a period piece Predator movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the only disappointment for me is I want to go see this on the biggest screen I can, and that's going to be this TV right here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's what I have to say on that. Yeah. I got nothing on that.
I mean, there's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah. The Predator was horrible.
I'll try and because we have a lot of news that I didn't realize that we had. This is
what happens when we skip a week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we just share everything that we've ever shared on Facebook. Not that, I mean, that's news, but it's not news. We all knew that Johnny Depp and the Jack Sparrow role, and yeah. Come on, hearsay. Anyway, just the thing about it is that Margot Robbie is, I guess, not going to obviously take that role, but she's like, the focus is going to be on her. She's going to be the face of the franchise, I guess, going forward, which is kind of, in my opinion, kind of pointless. I think neither should be. I think the series should have been done a long time ago. It should have been done at a trilogy, and they just keep going with it, and I don't get it.
All I know is of all the movie news lately that's aggravated me the most, even over Star Wars news, which I don't even feel the need to talk about, seeing the article after article after article where it's like, Pirates wasn't going to invite Johnny Depp back. Johnny Depp wasn't even going to come back for it. Pirates isn't going to have Johnny Depp. Pirates is going to have Margot Robbie. Pirates might have Johnny Depp, and I'm like, I don't want to show up for Pirates.
I don't care anymore.
And then he's like, I'm not coming back. And Disney's all like, yeah, you weren't, but you can think that you made that
and he's
choice.
like, good. And then they're like, we might bring him back. Like, I swear, that was when I quit. I was like an article where it was like, Johnny Depp might return. And I'm like,
I agree. I was like, I literally had that same thought process. Like, he's not returning. She's going to be this. Maybe he's returning. And I'm like, what is it? And I don't know. This trial, it's so dumb. It's, and I don't know if we talked about it last week or, the last time we talked, but I don't know if Clint, you knew that it was, that this trial is actually taking place in Virginia, in Fairfax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I learned that, I watched a little bit of it on YouTube about 3 weeks ago. And I was like, oh, hey, that's interesting. It has to do with the Washington Post and everything. But yeah, it's all ridiculous news. Like, that's related to them. I mean, I don't think whoever comes out on top of this, or gets out of this, winning. I think both are kind of blacklisted. I don't think anybody's really going to have anything to do with them, like as far as film goes. So maybe that's why it's a big trial, and they're like, hey, this could be the rest of my life's worth of revenue here, so I got to make this one count. So, but yeah, so Margot Robbie, yeah, great. Keeping within Disney, we have a new film announced called Elemental, coming out next year. Ryan gives a thumbs up. I give a because
it's Pixar, right?
Yes. I hate to break it to you, but Pixar made films are not always gems. They're not always gems. So I have the hesitation of getting into this because in my brain, it's like, all right, we don't have ideas. What do we talk about? You know what is really popular? Elements. Everybody does that. Somebody talking about fire and water and lightning and rock and air. Man, we're gonna make characters that are those.
You know what?
Call me cynical, but I am so, yeah. I think it's evidence of lack of ideas.
I think in 2014, a lot of people were like, gosh, how's a studio going to make layered characters of happiness and sadness and anger? We don't want to go see a movie.
I knew somebody
was
going to play that card, and that's it. And that is a good movie, and I do fairly like that. I don't know. I still, even with that thought, I'm like, hey, watch it be the greatest thing I've ever seen. Hey, maybe this bodes well for me that I'm going to go into it being, who can make a character that's literally just fire?
The real tell will be if it's straight to Disney Plus, it's probably great because Disney hates Pixar.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know. I think the word that comes to mind is gimmicky, and this feels gimmicky to me. Yeah. And I mean, like I said, watch it be the greatest thing, and I'm just, I'm on record for having egg on my face, so I'm not excited.
I don't disagree with the foundation of your argument. I almost completely trust Pixar. The only non-property, like the only non-IP Pixar film that I really didn't like was Good Dinosaur, and I don't think anybody liked that because Cars 2 and 3 don't really count because they're IPs. So like everything else, just great.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I could probably go through and be like, yeah, that was fine. I like that. So.
But it's like a bad Ghibli film. It's better than 90% of movies out there.
That's fair. That is fair. Okay. Moving on, we got. I shared this going. Is anybody even asking for this? That isn't Vin Diesel. And I don't know if Clint was upset with me or the fact that it's being made. But Vin Diesel, the Riddick 4 remake.
Yes.
Okay. The fact that they're remaking. Okay.
Yes.
I was like, are you really emotionally attached to this or what? Okay, so this is kind of ridiculous. I think, when was the last Riddick movie? When did it release? Oh wow, I didn't even think it was that recent. Okay. Is anybody asking for this?
The third one.
Yeah.
Is anybody asking for this?
No.
Vin Diesel
Okay.
is.
Nobody cares.
He's like, you know what? These Fast and Furious movies, they're hitting too hard with our fans. We gotta slow it down, man. We gotta go back to Riddick. Who is acting? Oh my gosh! I shared it from Screen Crush, and I think they're for the most part a reliable source. So I think this is a for real thing, and I'm like, what? Nobody's asking for this. I mean,
Well,
it's not even, you can't even call it a cash grab because literally nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why this is happening because we had like what Triple X, and it did fairly well at the box office because Vin Diesel. They were like, let's do a sequel way later and see if people still care. And then it got slapped with the January release date and no money.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just thought sharing that stupid piece of news. But moving back over to Disney, we got a trailer for the She-Hulk series. Woo!
Let me put on a really bad animation filter real quick. Oh wait,
yeah.
I don't know how to do that. But now that it's Disney.
Yeah, I at first thought,
what the hell?
I'm like kind of in between here. Like I think I'm leaning towards Ryan and that CGI. I mean, the fact that and there's been memes like where you go from like Thanos quality CGI to what we got in this trailer. Not that great.
Yeah, I think Disney Plus is conditioning its audiences to getting used to TV quality TV. Shocker, because it was like WandaVision. I'm talking overall. I don't mean anything.
No, you're good. No, I totally get the.
It's like WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight. I like Moon Knight, but the budgets are getting slimmer and narrower, and the visual effects are getting darker lit and less easy to see, and we're editing around things, and we're getting really TV PG, and it's just television again. What's happening? I thought we had a budget here. I thought we were going to put money into these properties.
I 100% agree with you. I think it's, I don't know. I was talking with someone before, and they were like, I think Disney Plus is a like as far as financially goes, I think it's like Disney's like biggest semi-failure, if you want to say that. And I think it's showing, because I'm like, yeah, like you said, the budget's kind of going down. The quality's not that it was that high to begin with, but I'm like, I want to watch this show. I want to watch the show. I'm gonna watch the show, but that CGI from where we are in 2022.
Yeah,
I blame COVID.
So I don't know. It's and I know I've said this phrase before, and you guys are all like, "What the heck? What are you talking about?" I've never heard that phrase before. But it's for me, it's a case of don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I don't know.
Now I know we've discussed this, but like,
yeah,
how does it apply? Use it in a sentence.
What? That is a sentence. I used it in itself. No,
what's the bathwater and what's the baby?
Oh, the bathwater is the show, and the baby is She-Hulk. I don't know. Maybe the other way around. I like the concept of the show. I need her to like not look like she's rubbery from like the mid 2000s, mid to early 2000s.
Okay, so I think
Clint's gonna straighten us out.
Well, no, not really that, but it's just, I think, in my opinion, I think like the trailer that we got this morning, and I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit because probably the last thing that we're going to share. But I think because these were starting to leak, I think Disney kind of like was forced and had their hand kind of forced to kind of like release this trailer, knowing that it's probably unfinished. And I'm saying this as being as optimistic as I possibly can, because yeah, I agree. The CGI on her and even Ruffalo was a little wonky. and it did look a little cartoonish. However, I'm giving it a pass just in the fact of like I've been reading rumors that this was going to leak anyway, and like the trailer this morning was leaked like a week ago, and then taken down really quickly. As much as I like the trailer from this morning, it still kind of looks unfinished a little bit. In this one too. So I'm guessing that it was forced upon them to release this because they don't normally release these trailers until one show finishes.
Yeah.
And we got Ms. Marvel like right before Moon Knight, and then we got this one like right before Obi-Wan, and even before Ms. Marvel started. So, and this is supposed to come out in July, August?
What, She-Hulk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it comes out in July. I think mid to late July.
August 17th.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was like
August
late
17th.
July. Okay. I guess tomato.
So I don't know.
All right. But yeah. So we'll all just inevitably watch it. It's junk food. No matter what it is, we'll eat it probably.
I will say, and I think I brought this up before too, there's always seemingly now the chance of the Aladdin effect, where it's like, that looks terrible. And we see the movie and we're like, oh, I guess it doesn't. And it looks bad in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because like they did not improve Will Smith's genie from the trailer to the movie. It looks fine in the movie. So
yeah, and he's not the problem with that movie.
No.
But anyway, I'm gonna rapid fire these last few bits because
we'll say yay, good news, yay, nay, bad news.
Okay. No, well, I know Ryan, because you're the one who shared this one a few days ago. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen set for reboot.
Yay.
All right, thumbs up, ski. I'm okay with that one. Next up, Star Wars Rogue Squadron pushed off to the side, air quotes, at Lucasfilm.
It'll never happen.
Yeah.
Which makes me die inside, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna let that out there.
We're not getting that. We're not getting Ryan Johnson movies. We're not getting another Solo. Kathleen Kennedy's just
okay. So I was waiting to the end to bring this up, but yeah, that is the one thing that I wanted to talk about, especially with Ryan. Her stupid comments. Okay, I'm gonna sit and literally repeat what I've written down on Facebook. Okay, the recasting of like legacy characters is not a bad idea. Okay, I don't care who you are. It is not a bad idea. Alden Ehrenreich did a decent enough job with having 3 directors, because it was Lord and Miller, and then you bring in Ron Howard and you try and save a production that you created this, Kathleen. Okay, you created this by cutting your directors out like halfway through your production, and then you got backlash from like all the fans saying that like Alden Ehrenreich was not Harrison Ford. Well, duh. Okay, like seriously, like recasting younger versions of legacy characters is not a bad idea. Okay,
yeah,
you just have to trust the process.
If she legitimately thought this, then we should just draw a pentagram on the floor and summon Alec Guinness's ghost, because we're literally on the heels of a recast, or on the toes of a recast show.
Exactly. You have to do it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it doesn't bode at all well. Like she is not. She like. I think I read numerous times that like they should have given the job presidency to somebody who actually like cared about she literally does not, as a business she cares about it, but like as a personal like investment in this show or this lore, for lack of a better word, she doesn't care about it, like literally. And I'm not like, I'm a casual Star Wars fan. I'm not like sitting here going, hey, you've ruined my Star Wars. I'm like, you've ruined probably the biggest franchise in film history. I'm like, and you kind of have no one to blame but yourself. You're backing yourself in the corner. You're pissing people off by doing the things you're doing, and then you're wondering, why is this happening? So yeah, I mean, she's
well, and I think the other point is like the original trilogy, like the fans that grew up with the original trilogy are not gonna. They're just, for some reason, my generation is not going to accept anything that is not Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher. And unfortunately, Carrie Fisher is not with us. Harrison Ford is like one airplane crash away from not being with us anymore. And like Mark Hamill, bless his soul, is like being a stand-in for some, like the Mandalorian and like Boba Fett, and they're like CGI.
The last one was like 30 minutes from here.
Wow. So like he's standing in for Luke and he's giving his voice to Luke and stuff like that, and which is fine, and they're CGIing him, and like I would say Boba Fett looks a little bit better than the Mandalorian, but they're doing the CGI thing with him, so like it's not a bad idea, but I think like I don't want her to lose her job, but I think that you're right. I think that she needs to give creative control over to like Favreau or Dave Filoni, or like somebody that cares. And if she wants to be the face of the business, then that's fine. But I don't think that like her ultimate decisions need to lie with her. I think they need to get. I think that she just needs to trust the process. Stop listening to fans, like toxic fans, because I will be like the first to admit I grew up with the original trilogy, and we are some toxic fans. And I think that like the fans that grew up with the prequels and now the sequels and stuff like that are a little bit more forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
But us, like our original trilogy fans, we are not forgiving. And for some reason, like they're listening more to that than anything. And I think she just needs to trust her decision making and just go with it, because it will fix itself, unless you're the Rise of Skywalker, but it will fix itself.
Yeah, just too much. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got the season 3 premiering for the Umbrella Academy. I've next to forgotten this movie. I know Clint's all for it. I did watch a trailer. I'm like, sure, but like for the most part, I could take it or leave it. So, let's see. New Ocean's 11 film starring Margot Robbie in active development at Warner Brothers. Jay Roach will direct. I know. I know.
Here's a series that needed to hang up. That's all. That's all I have about that.
Oh gosh, yeah. Why do we need this? New Daredevil series in the works at Disney Plus, and yes, I know a lot of people are excited about this. And what, it is supposed to be a continuation and not a completely new thing, correct?
That is the rumor. Yes.
Okay, so yes, I think that'll be interesting with the whole Netflix and Disney kind of like, because how many seasons were on Netflix? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, that'll be interesting going forward. But I think it's a step in the right direction.
So just a quick thought, sorry, because I know you're trying to rapid fire through this. So quick thought.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'm disappointed that they didn't get the original like showrunners for this new round. Because I think they set that tone really well. And I know that Stephen Knight is like really busy with like other stuff like Peaky Blinders and stuff like that. So I'm kind of upset that they didn't get the original showrunners. Because like I said, the tone was set really well with those original showrunners. 2, it does kind of scare me that they hired the ones that they did. Because the ones they did had a show called Covert Affairs or something on USA, which was like really, Ryan knows where I'm going with this. Which was not the darkest of tones, and it wasn't like Daredevil-esque. It was more of like The Office meets like Jason Bourne, and so it was just a little bit more campy than it should have been, I think, in my opinion. I'm hoping that they do this right, but it just kind of scares me. That is all.
Yeah, we'll see. maybe it'll be the best thing. Maybe it'll be like Elemental.
We'll see. We'll see what it's rated.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, last 2 bits of news. Oh my gosh, it's been like a marathon here. Staying with Disney, we got a Baymax series trailer. I know. I'm just sharing a bunch of things. Clint is absolutely giddy with me. I haven't watched a trailer, but I do like Big Hero 6. So, yeah, I'll be watching this for sure. And
That's
then the
Marvel,
last, yeah, Marvel, non-Marvel, exactly. And then the last bit of news, which I shared today, we've got a teaser trailer for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Anybody watch this? Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I thought it was a great, for like a franchise that you would think is completely played out by this point. Like, come on, they've got this, they've done this, they've done literally this and this. How can they have any more? I watched this trailer and I was like, I literally was like, almost like I had that feeling as if I was falling off of whatever train or something like that. I'm like, that's really well done. That looks super cool. I can't wait to watch this. So kudos to them, at least for editing that trailer the way they did. I want that. I'm going to go Ryan here. I want that trailer and nothing more. Just have that, have a TV spot here and there. That's fine. Slip, kind of do your magic with that one trailer. But I want nothing more until the movie actually comes out. And that has a release date sometime next year. I just don't know when. I think July next year. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was really excited about that. I was like, you know what? Let me give this trailer a watch. And I never do that like right off the bat. So I did that for this, and I was like, this looks good. So I'm excited for that. That is finally the end of the news. We got through it. We haven't even reviewed anything, and we've been here for almost 2 hours. So now we left this kind of open-ended. We can give many reviews on a lot of different things. The first thing that comes to mind, Clint will be lost in the dark here, is Men for Ryan and I. I kind of feel like giving my take anyway on this. I think I'll go ahead and give my thoughts on that first. So Men is the latest A24 film, and A24 is, for lack of any significant thought, a producer or a studio that produces weird horror flicks that I never really seem to get into. And I don't know why I keep going back to them. I told that Ryan, I'm like, it's like, yeah, what's up?
Didn't it do Northman and everything all at once?
They did Everything Everywhere. They did not do Northman.
Oh.
So I know, and I don't know if, no, we talked about this one, a couple of weeks ago, and I know I shared it with you guys that I didn't really care for that movie, but that was that movie. This is this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, Men. To basically give the general synopsis, I don't know if this is going to reveal too much, but a woman in London has basically lost her husband, and she goes out to the countryside to kind of get away from everything and kind of rent this just little villa kind of thing, just a little homey thing, from a honestly relatively normal guy, other than how the trailers perceive him. So she rents this place out and just kind of gets away from everything, and then just weird things ensue as an A24 film. I thought the performances in this were good. Like, it felt realistic for the most part. Like, it felt like real, naturally progressive dialogue that, flowed like real life conversations would. But it was, and it was paced well, and it was eerie, really eerie, as you would expect it would be. The suspense in this was sustained extremely well, because it held on to it, and it made you think that whatever thing was going to happen, but just never did really happen, at least not in my opinion. And it's more of a psychological thriller, or just a horror than anything else. And I think those are sometimes the best because, oh yeah, you can have some big monster or some, scary looking thing, but it's more like, I think why people are afraid of the dark is what could be there. And I think that's what it ultimately evolves around, is what could be out there. And it never really gets to what actually is. I mean, it does, but it doesn't, kind of. Up until that final, say, about 30 minutes or so, I actually thought this movie was very engaging and very like easy to just kind of stay glued to. But it was like A24 was like, you know what, we cut back on our weirdness, and then we saved it all for the end, so we got to make that quota, and we got to cram it, because that is I've said it before and I'll say it again, it is very, like, it'll test your squeamish meter 100%. And it does, I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. It's I think it's all about symbolism, and I get that, but I'm also like I take it for what it looks like, kind of deal. And I get metaphors and everything, but like when it's really heavy-handed, you kind of lose me. Subtlety is a very useful key, and they didn't use it here. And I think what they were trying to go for at the end very much didn't land, not for me. But it's not a completely horrible film. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, like, depending on how I mean that. I'd say a 6. I'd say it's, fresh enough. This is hard to recommend to a lot of people. And I kind of don't get why it's the title it is. I sort of do, but sort of don't. But that's my thoughts on it. 6 out of 10. Ryan.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. Yeah, I thought Jesse Buckley and Rory Kinnear were fantastic. Cinematography was probably one of the best shot films of the year. The score was really haunting. It really did tension well, all that stuff, and it was a very good movie. Even the parts that were like, oh, this is either just so A24 or so hard to watch, or both. I thought some of the points where it was like, Alex Garland's usual cinematographer, I feel like did a great job for most of the film. And then at one point they were like, how do we shoot this? So they stayed up all night watching A24 movies, and they were like, just like all of those. And there were a couple moments where it's like, stark shot right in the middle, cut across, creepy music, and I'm like, yep, I've seen this since Kubrick's did it. But anyway, like before A24. But yeah, I think where this film falls short is just, it's a little much and it's not enough at the same time. Mm-hmm. It carries one meaning by the end with a heavy-handed another meaning, which, if you didn't get by the title, is surprisingly on the nose for a film that Garland helmed. And following like Ex Machina and Annihilation, I thought this was a little disappointing, because I was like, oh yeah, like Annihilation, I was like, that was a good movie, and then a week later I was like, I get it, and I thought so much more highly of it a week later. And this, I was driving back and I was like, yeah, I get it, it's all right. So I think it could be better. I think it could be more, and also could be less. So yeah, I'd agree. Solid 6 out of 10. I wouldn't watch it again. I don't regret seeing it, but I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah, I think very much the same. And it's a hard recommendation for,
yeah, I
mean, purely that last part. Yeah, it's so hard to recommend to anybody, not even just like for people of age. So I almost want to recommend it to Clint. I want to recommend it to Matt. But I don't know. It's like, I just want to get general opinions, not like, do you think it's like great?
Yeah.
Just what do you think?
I would say if you're sold on A24 and you don't roll your eyes at the title, you'll probably have a good time.
Okay. That's pretty fair. I agree. Yes. So that was Men. Did we all watched Rescue Rangers, right? Yeah. Ryan's like, I did. Yeah, sure. I threw the movie on and I happened to be in the room. So yeah, let's make that our next review. So it was. How would you describe this film? It's like it's not. I think it's part of the marketing is it's not a reboot. It's a comeback. So it's like it takes the characters from the show Rescue Rangers from the late 80s, early 90s, and makes it as if these characters like were, you know, they were part of like they were like real people, and that they, you know, got away from the show and they just kind of lived their lives. And like I don't know, it's like how would you describe this, Ryan or Clint, anybody who's willing to give a general synopsis?
It's self-aware Roger Rabbitish.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I mean it's a modern day Roger Rabbit. So I mean, and I literally even text that to you guys.
Yep.
So I'll go first because I think I want to get the good out before I hear some like, yeah, what is this crap? I didn't think I was gonna enjoy this. And it's very it's a good movie to have in a very memeified heavy culture that we have today, because it's very pop culture reference. It's throwaway dialogue, and it's the references are like insane, and it's like there's a lot of non-Disney properties in here that they had to get the rights for. That was like, how did they make that work? So at first I thought it was going to be so cheesy because like right at the beginning, they show how Chip and Dale actually met in school, and in order to try to make friends, he's all like, or Dale is all like, you know, pretending like he's got a pencil in his eye, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, what is that? Oh my God, like somebody's throwing up. I'm like, obviously it's not real, guys. So I thought that was going to set the tone really early on for me, and I was like, this is going to be so cheesy.
I have to interrupt you. Once again, your negative takeaway is children.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row.
I'm not into the like, Ryan has basically summarized it that like, I'm not into the infantile, like, oh, look at this, it's me, hi. Oh my God. Right, Clint, that was the worst thing about Doctor Strange, by the way, is the little kid song to their mom, you know, like, hey mom, we've got a surprise for you.
Oh,
and it's a song basically demanding ice cream. Mom, we love you, we want ice cream, we love you, it's a song. Stupid part of that movie. I'm sorry, I hate that part. I'm sorry, it's so cringy to me. I'm balling up this paper because it's so cringy, and that's not even the review for this week. Ryan, thank you for getting me riled up. If there were feathers on me, they'd be really flared up. Artemis Fowl. I'm sorry, just had to throw that out there. Anyway,
okay.
What was I going to say? But despite that, this had some really unexpected humor that I just found delightful. It references a lot of old cartoons, and it's Roger Rabbit for today. I mean, I can't. There's no better summation than that. And I will agree with when Matt was talking about, he was the first one of us all to watch it, and he said you'd be doing yourself a big disservice by not watching this film. And at first I was like, yeah, I can see how he likes it, because it was at first heavy on the 80s references, and he cares for a lot of 80s style things. And that's kind of, he sees 80s with rose colored glasses. He might agree with that. He might not. He might take exception. Who knows? But then I started to see all the quips, and just I love throwaway dialogue that, you know, you don't really care if the joke lands, and therefore that's how it like lands even better. But this movie was a delight. I mean, and I was engaged the whole way. Sometimes I lose interest, you know, about halfway through, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? You know, texting on my phone. But this, for the most part, kept me engaged. And I said I was flirting with an 8. I think I'm gonna go ahead and give this an 8. I think this deserves to be watched at least one time in your life. Like wholehandedly. Yeah, I I thought, and they kind of went with the whole Detective Pikachu route, where having Chip and Dale have like Andy Samberg, and I can't ever remember the comedian's name. He's got kind of his last name's like Crawley or something. Anyway, they went with that route.
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney, that's it. Yeah, I never remember his name. And I think it is a little bit deserving of praise for the fact that they mixed in so many different animation styles together, and I'm like, I know that can't be easy to do, like even for Disney. So you've got like kind of like a cell shaded thing going on, you've got CGI, you've got like while the camera is moving old, I don't know how to describe it, animation where that looks 90s. And I'm like, okay, I give them props. Like, even though that probably should be an easy thing for them, I know it probably isn't. And I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I found myself laughing quite a bit from this. So I think an 8 out of 10. Matt or Ryan, please tell me why I'm wrong. Whoever would like to go first.
I'll go last.
Okay, Clint.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're wrong, Alex. I have maybe a less optimistic view of this movie.
They were transitioning down.
We are apparently we are. I think it was a very good spiritual like successor to Roger Rabbit. I agree with you, and I think that there was more non-Disney references in a Disney movie than I've ever seen before in my life. And because I think there was like more non-Disney characters than I could, that were not associated or that were shown in this movie. I'm gonna give it a 7, strictly for the fact that the voices of Chip and Dale, John Mulaney and Andy Samberg are so distinct that it just kind of like took me out of the movie. And I think especially with Andy Samberg, because I watched, big fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, watched Palm Springs and some of his, Never Stop, Never Stopping type of, and his voice is so distinct that it's like as soon as he starts talking, it's like, oh, this is Jake Peralta from like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, or this is like kid from, Palm Springs or whatever. And it took me out of the movie. And John Mulaney has just that dry voice that is like, again, is another distinct type of voice that just kind of like started to take me out of what was going on. That there would be points in the movie where it'd be like, wait, what's going on? I think especially in that one part where, not to spoil the movie, but they meet a snake that is like a big fan of theirs, and they start doing this rap or whatever for the snake. And it's just like that whole sequence, I think, would have been funnier if I didn't know it was Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. His movie is, but even saying that now is just like, if they try to stick it to like their chipmunk voices, their non-distinct chipmunk voices, I don't know if I could have handled that for another like 90 minutes either. So when you're voicing and when you're voice casting these two characters, it's like a rock in a hard place. And I think that with the material that they were given, I think that they did a decent job. I'm not going to, say that they were bad. It took me out of the movie. But other than that, I think the movie was fine. I mean, it was better than it should have been, I think, in the long run. So yeah, 7 out of 10 is probably my stance.
I agree with pretty much all of that. I have those a high 6, so we are just kind of stepping down one per step.
Yeah.
I'm going to get really simple because I'm going to go from like the complex cinematography of A24 film to like, yeah, I got halfway through this and I stopped having fun, and then I was kind of bored, and then it ended. So here's where I'm coming from there. Growing up, I was not a Roger Rabbit fan. I was a Looney Tunes back in action fan. If you're going to make a movie and just cram it full of nonsense for entertainment of all ages, just don't try hard. I respect Roger Rabbit objectively. It's great as like Oscar wins and whatnot, and all credit to it. I think it's sitting over there. But I would so much rather watch a movie that doesn't really care, because I think it's more entertaining to watch things that don't matter happen, and then they yell cut and the whole movie's over, and it ends on laughs. And this movie for me ends in a kind of a Roger Rabbit way, where I was like, all right, time to set aside all the fun from the movie and watch some admittedly entertaining action sequences where they blend animation and live action styles and not much else. And it just kind of ended for me. Pretty much this movie peaked for me when they got to, and this is in a trailer, so I don't feel bad saying this, but like there's a sequence in the movie where they get to the valley, the uncanny valley. And that was probably the hardest I've laughed this year at anything I've seen. So I will give it credit for being just so entertaining throughout. And there were some really great jokes earlier than that and following that. But it just, after a while, when the plot started to pick up, the humor kind of died down. And there were some predictable things, and then it ended. And I was like, that was a movie. So Clint, I agree with you. Andy Serberg drove me nuts, but it was better than it had any right to be. I wasn't even going to watch this until I saw that the critic reviews were pretty good. So, and yeah, I get why Sandberg's in it, because it's like the Lonely Island gang, like producing this movie, right? Or writing it.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I don't know. I mean, it's just knowing that every movie can be my cup of tea. This wasn't my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I get that.
But I mean, it's not bad. Watch it. It's cute. It's very enjoyable. You know, it couldn't have been that much better without substantially changing the way that it deals with its plot. And critics like Roger Rabbit better than Looney Tunes back in action. So I'm just the minority for what entertainment goes for when it comes to this kind of medium. So
I kind of agree with you. I at first wasn't gonna give this like even a chance. And then yeah, read reviews, and then Matt's like ultimately coming out going, yeah, you guys need to watch this. I've been fooled by that siren song before, you know, not to get into a plug for Netflix, but there is a movie called America the Motion Picture, and it's animated, and it's crude. So like be warned if you go into that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys ever heard of it or ever seen it. And he said, this is the funniest stuff I've ever seen. So he's done that before to me. So I had to go in, and I could only make it through like 20 minutes of that. So I was like, yeah, that's a bunch of nonsense.
This looks horrible.
Yeah, I think it's got what, like a 20%?
38 on Metascore.
Okay. So yeah, bad. I knew it was low.
It sounds terrible. Never watched it.
It deals with certain types of jokes that some might find more appealing than others. So, but anyway, but this was the opposite of that. This was a recommendation that I thoroughly enjoyed. But like you said, Ryan, I probably wouldn't have given it really any second thought had had it just come out and people were just like, oh hey, a movie. So, but that was Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
Well, I have
any other?
one more.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
I have one more criticism of this movie, and it just kind of popped in my head as we were like kind of discussing, like a real kind of criticism. And this is a Rescue Rangers movie. Where are the other Rescue Rangers? I mean, I understand that the plot kind of like takes care of like a few of them, but where are the others?
I suspect.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I suspect that choice was made for people like me who didn't watch Rescue Rangers. I mean, it was over by the time I was born, but like generationally speaking, like the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's probably a lot of people in the target audience who are familiar with it but didn't watch it. Not saying it's right or wrong. That's probably just where that choice came from.
I think they knew. Like I grew up on Rescue Rangers. I liked it. I didn't love it, but you know, it was something to watch when I was a kid. And I think Disney knows that like Chip and Dale, one, because it's so easy to say Chip and Dale, are really the characters that anybody really, you know, cares about. You know, not to say that the other characters are just, you know, like crap and nobody gives anything about them, but I think they knew that like it's got to be about Chip and Dale, and like the others are kind of just mixed in, very lightly, very, very pinch of salt kind of deal. And I actually appreciate that, because if they were more in it, I probably actually wouldn't have cared about it, because Monterey Jack is the character was a little too overwhelming for me. I just like, it was too, not flamboyant, but like just not subtle. And so I think if they pushed that too much into this movie, I probably would have been a little less invested in it. So I think that's kind of the mentality that goes into it. So it's like Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers. So, but it's not the greatest movie, but I thought it was solid enough. But anyway, do we have anything else to review? I can't.
Oh yeah, we do.
What else? Oh, Firestarter.
Firestarter.
Oh yeah, you guys do. So I'm gonna get my review. Did you watch it?
No.
Oh well, then we have a no review, a half review, and then a full review. Let's do that. Clint, your review. Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I watched the 1984 version with Drew Barrymore, and it was decent. Watch that one.
So I have not watched the 84 version. I heard that was, like you just said, fine. Nothing that really needs to be remade, almost 40 years later into a movie that nobody cares about, to not only be put out theatrically, but also streaming, because yeah, that totally bodes confidence that this movie's good, that you put it on streaming for free. So I heard the reviews were not great. I said, you know what? I'm still going to go into it with an open mind. I made it about 50 minutes into this movie, and I don't sit here saying it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. But I don't sit here going, that was absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen. I sit here thinking, that movie was so incredibly boring, I didn't care about anything going on. So, yeah. Why did I feel I felt no personal interest in investing my time into the rest of this movie, even though it was just a little bit over a half hour left. An A for me, because I didn't finish it. So I mean, it's just like I think this is I will quote Ryan here. It's one of the worst movies that can happen, because it's not a bad movie, it's not a good movie, it's just a boring movie, and those are the worst. Like, sometimes a bad movie can be so bad that you stick engaged and you're like, wow, what is this crap? You just laugh sarcastically at it the entire time and you get through it. This, like somebody picking their scab for 2 hours. Like, I don't want to watch that. That's weird. So yeah, no applicable score. I couldn't care any less about it. Ryan, roast this even more so than it probably did itself.
I am going to totally disagree with you on so many things.
No. Oh God.
Because this is hands down the worst movie of the year for me.
All right.
Is it the worst score of the year? No, that's still Uncharted. But it's the second worst? Absolutely. Worst performances of the year, worst writing of the year, probably. Blacklight was pretty bad. Definitely the worst shot movie of the year. Hang on, let me reemphasize. This is how I'm going to do the whole movie. Just like right here on the edge of the frame, staring here. And then we're going to do the reverse angle, okay? It's badly shot. And Alex, you're right. The worst thing a movie can be is boring. And this movie is really freaking boring. It's visually boring. The performances are boring. The writings are boring. The characters are boring. The pacing is awful. I don't actually feel like talking about this movie anymore. It's 2 out of 10.
He's like, I can't wait to rip into it. I'm done.
No, I'm done. It's terrible. Don't watch it. You never need to watch it.
I'm just sad that we don't have Matt here, because I knew he was looking forward to absolutely obliterating this movie.
That's what I'll save my thoughts for when Matt's back. I'll save more thoughts for then.
Yeah, it'll be Firestarter Part 2, even though, like, out of a video that's coming up on a little over 2 hours, we talked about Firestarter for probably only 3 minutes.
Well, that's fine because that's 3 more minutes than deserves to be talked about, and according to its box office numbers, that's a true statement.
Yeah. I just like not to talk about it more than it needs to be, but I'm just like, why this is one of the kings of why do we need this? Because it was a movie that was made almost 40 years ago. People had to be sitting in a room going, you know what? That movie that was kind of okay back then, we need to remake that. Why? And we got to put it on streaming. It's bound to make money, yeah?
Let me read you the red flags, if I'm not mistaken. The creative team behind this. Sorry, my phone is like, I'm going to hit all the keys.
Yeah,
Please stop.
While you're looking that up, Brian, I'm just like, I sit here and go, and they wonder why, like, I'm sure they don't want, if these guys are smart, they probably just made this. They're like, you know what? We need something to just put up to kind of get us through.
Well, this director's done pretty much nothing. And do you know where we know writer Scott Teems from?
I should know probably, but I don't.
Possibly the best movie of 2021, Halloween Kills.
No wonder. Therein lies the best part of this conversation. What's worse?
Oh, Halloween
Firestarter. Okay.
What's worse? Boring nothingness or just violence for its own sake?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Actually, I was really bored during Halloween Kills too. That's why we walked out. We didn't walk out of Firestarter. And I forgot it was on Peacock, so we could have. We went and saw it in theaters.
I think the fact that because it's Halloween, a Halloween movie, you're engaged with a long existing franchise. So, I mean, I guess technically, Firestarter is worse. But I can't say that because I didn't finish it. Halloween Kills is an absolute eyesore of a movie. So, how does that guy cannot keep getting jobs? Probably. I'm totally not going to be able to help in like retaining this memory, but there is a writer and that we talked about in several videos ago, and it was something we reviewed that was really bad. And Ryan was like, he's done this, he's done this, he's done this, and he's done this. How does he still keep getting jobs? And I cannot remember.
Gods of Egypt's writer. I know what you're talking about.
And
Morbius'
this is
writer.
Oh yeah.
Writer. It's worked on nothing but trash.
Who?
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, and I think this Scott Teems is gonna have the same kind of what's the word? Reputation. He's gonna write trash after trash after trash, and people are gonna be like, how does he keep getting jobs?
So Matt Sharpless has worked on such gems as Gods of Egypt, Power Rangers, The Last Witch Hunter, and Dracula Untold. The last of which I like, but none of which made any money. Working with Bert Sharpless, who worked on all the same films.
Just goes to show that, you can't you can't just take an old idea and just and regardless of who writes it, expect something at least moderately okay to come out. Yeah. Like, writing is important. Don't forget it. So
it's just, I don't know. I mean, whenever I'm watching a movie and like Zac Efron, we've seen good performances from Zac Efron. We've seen some great performances from Zac Efron. We've seen dramatic work from him. We've seen great funny work from him, and he does not want to be here in this movie. Usually when you're watching a movie, you're at least like, wow, you know what? At least the child performances really carry the movie, even though it was obviously not written for a kid. And I feel so bad for this little girl. I don't know her name. Just really bad, and it's not her fault. Because she's given lines like in the trailer where she's like, liar, liar, pants on fire. And I'm like, is this the 80s version we're watching?
Oh my gosh, this guy did Morbius? That's horrible.
There's a movie that comes to mind when you said that, Ryan, like liar, liar, pants on. Like, I mean, obviously everybody knows that phrase, but who actually says it, like, unironically?
Nobody. And then light someone on fire, which is pretty much just the entire finale of this dumb movie.
Like, yeah, it made me think, Matt, if Matt were here, he'd be able to tell me the name of the movie. But the trailer for this one where it's another creepy little girl, and she has like this weird ability to like have people decay or something by touch or something, and or like if she wishes something upon something on somebody, then that happens. And she's like, she's talking about either a caretaker or some older relative, and she says like, I wish she would rot or something like that. And like that's the thing, like, oh man, she's gonna. And I'm like, and Matt, he says nobody says that. Literally nobody says that. And that's what that made me think of, that in that trailer. Like, liar, liar, pants off. That's literally just to obviously make the pun of fire. So that's double offensive. Not only are you boring, you're offensive.
That is from Wish Upon, it looks like.
Wish Upon.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So that was ultimately one of the biggest why did we need this movie. We didn't need this. Nobody needed it. I decided about 50 minutes in, I was like, I don't need this.
Well, you can thank general audiences for that, because it's like it was popular, and so they wanted to ride the wave of like Stephen King becoming popular again, with Dr. Sleep and stuff like that. So it's the general audience. And yeah. I agree with you. This was just a throwaway book that he made like in the early 80s. It was like a throwaway movie that was made in 1984. It's kind of like, Salem's Lot is coming back, which I'm a little bit more excited about than this was. This was just a weird book about a kid with superpowers. Yeah, I don't know why they wanted to remake this. I think they're just trying to grab him. Pet Sematary, like they should have learned from Pet Sematary. Like that was a weird movie. That was a bad movie. And the original was pretty good, but this one was just so bizarre. So
did and you all are probably gonna be like, how do you not know that? Did he write like, was there an original book for Chucky? Or is that like its own thing?
No, that's not Stephen King.
Okay. I'm not surprised with that, but I was like, I would have not been surprised if it was either. Because I think about the remake that came out with of Child's Play. What, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Something like that.
And that it was not well received. So I would have thought it was in the same wheelhouse. I don't even know my favorite Stephen King. I don't really care about any of those, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Cujo's a classic, but I don't think a lot of people watch that. Was there ever a remake of that?
Mm-mm.
Worth but I think people are, we're in an age. I mean, people have loved dogs forever, but like I think even especially now, people probably wouldn't receive that well. Like, where the dog is insane, and then thus you have to. So, yeah. But anyway, this movie didn't need to be made. It didn't deserve to be made. Didn't deserve to be watched. Doesn't deserve really a lot at all. So, but yeah, that's our review on that. As broken as it was. Do we have anything else to review?
Nope.
All right. So I think leading up to next week, I think it's a pretty no-brainer what we should be reviewing for next week, because not only do we have Top Gun Maverick coming out, which I already have tickets for on Thursday. Gonna see it with my dad, and we also have the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan coming out on Friday. And like I said earlier in this video, way back, however many hours ago, I am a casual Star Wars fan, but I am really looking forward to this. I can't wait. This will easily be one of those, I watch the episodes week by week. I can't wait like every until it's all out. I have to watch it week by week. And thankfully we're getting 2 episodes on the first day. So yay!
Are we going back to the Friday release dates for this, or are they doing Wednesdays?
What that's you know what that's a good question, because originally it was supposed to be the first episode on the Wednesday of 2 days from now, but then they pushed it back. So then they said we're going to put 2 videos out. I don't know if they're going to keep going with Fridays. I don't know, because then you're releasing 3 episodes within a week if you do Friday and then go to Wednesday. So I'm not sure. Probably quick Google search by one of these guys.
I'm
They'll
looking at
find
now.
it.
Yeah.
They'll find it when I stop talking. I
Everyone's
gotta
like, when does
keep
episode
talking. But I've also been watching the prequels.
It is going to switch to Wednesdays.
Oh, cool. So we'll get 3 episodes within a week. So maybe, hopefully, scheduling goes right. We can just do a 3 episode kind of review for maybe Thursday, possibly. Don't know. Scheduling is always weird with us. So we'll see how that works out. But hopefully we can at least get the first 2 in before too long. But unless you guys got anything else to talk about, I think that we are good to go and leave until next week. Anything? All right. Well, everybody, thank you for watching / listening. It's good to have Kip on.
Thanks,
at least for a little bit. Yeah. Thanks, Kip. And with that, we will bid you all adieu until next time.